That's to Saturday.
Okay, I have so many things. You got it? Right? That's one. So everything. Oh, yeah. No, I'm.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's session. Before we dive into tonight's session, we will be sharing a video with you all. We will be sharing a video with all of you. We hope that you'll be blessed by this video. This is just to give you all insight into who TouchLink is, into our organization, and what our organization does and has done.
Just one touch. To knock knock, but what's that sound? Just one touch means so much. Who's touched, when touched, where touched, how touched, why touched? The one that creates a storm in your brain, making you feel like you can't maintain, and when you try to abate it from your recollection, it brings more hate?
I'm not actually pleased to remember or to say anything about my past relationship. However, I just have to say it. Prior to TouchLink, I've had a traumatic experience in my past relationship. You see, I am a survivor of domestic violence. My thoughts were distorted and I didn't know what to do or who to talk to.
The one that leaves bruises on your skin, eyes tearing, gasping for air. The one that has you questioning whether it's you abusing the situation? The touch that leaves people calling you special or just touched but not by an angel? The one you think is right because you're too young to fight? The one that has you losing your appetite? The one that leaves you with symptoms and no prognosis? The one that leaves you in silence, acquiring the data, processing the raw to make it seem pure?
There was a point in my life where I was hurt, I was broken, and I was lost. And I was just coming out of an abusive marriage, and I thought that I would never, ever recover from everything that I went through. And the people around me that I thought would help me were nowhere to be found. And my friend connected me with TouchLink, and ever since then, I mean, it was God sent, from sending me food for me and the kids, from counseling, which is, you can't put a price on that, from stipends, from care packages. Like when you're feeling down, how awesome is it to receive a nice package in the mail telling you that you are loved and that they're thinking of you, and if we ever need anything, that we can reach out. One thing that I love about TouchLink is that it's endless.
It all has to do with that abnormal use we call abuse. If it's mental, it's waking you out of your sleep. If it's physical, saying, don't touch me. If it's verbal, saying, shut up, covering your ears, wishing you weren't able to hear. That one touch leaves you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually crushed. Wanting to die without committing suicide. Life becomes so perplexed that all you do is circumspect the circumstance. Basically having you going in circles, trying to find the area without knowing the radius of the diameter. Wanting to break out of the bubble, but you're having so much trouble, all because of that one touch.
Thank you for letting me feel safe with you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my deepest fears with you. Thank you, Dr. Yewande, and every member of the team. Thank you so much, our sponsors, for always reaching out and always making even Valentine and other celebrations so special to us.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Vic. Vic who? Victor. Because I will no longer be the victim fenced in senseless acts of violence that parade these streets. Knock, knock. Who's there? D. D who? I decided that defeat is no longer my name. To destroy was the past, which is no longer my present. I am no one's peasant as I continue to develop, demanding a better tomorrow because nothing stays the same. Knock, knock. Who's there? Blind. Blind who? Open them and let the sun shine in.
Awesome.
Awesome, Pastor Dupe. Thank you again, everybody, for joining. At this time, I'm going to call on our moderator, Pastor Dupe, to take over.
Good evening, everyone. Every member of TouchLink, from the young to the old, we welcome each and every one of us. It's been a great journey since the month of October, dedicated to domestic violence victims, survivors, and those who are thriving. I usually call them thriving populations. So TouchLink, we showed a little bit of what we do. Our motto or watchword is restoring hope, and then touching lives. So that means what we do is that we take somebody from level 0 and then bringing them to where God, wants them to be functioning, on their highest capacity, restoring hope, dignity, and security. Everyone, according to Maslow, hierarchy of needs, a shelter, you need, hope, you need food, and security. So for TouchLink, we operate under that, and not just that, we go a little bit extra. We want to make sure that spirit, we are spirit, soul, and body. We want to make sure that everyone, it's okay on that 3 level, triad level. Your spirit, that means you are not depressed. Your soul, your intellect, that means you are able to function and at the maximum God has created us to be. And we're talking about also, our body. We're talking about the wellness of our body. That means, physically, we're okay to do what we need to do. And we want a community that is free of anything called violence, anything called abuse. We want you to prosper spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, materially, maritally, and career-wise too. So we have dedicated ourselves. We have volunteers. We have, the visionary, the president, Dikinye Wande Fodile, and everyone coming together to say this is a task that we want to make sure, we want to see people live their God-given potentials. And that is the reason why we have TouchLink. For us, we are touching one life at a time, making a difference. And we have somebody that will be giving us testimonies before the end of today to let us know that what we are doing is not a wasted time, for the volunteers, for the counselors, for the professionals that are giving their time. And also if you are giving your money, we always be accountable to you to tell you this is exactly what we're doing. You heard somebody says the care package, we still give care package. We put people in hotel, we settle them. Our counseling is not just one time. We have all agencies that we help people. If we can't do it, we have some other agencies, that interagency dependency that we do. And so this evening also, things that happen not just to one person. Imagine if somebody is going through, abuse, and then you are a single mother. It's even tough when you are married, you have two, husband and wife looking after, and you are still complaining about, not to talk about somebody looking after themselves, or possibly, children involved. And so it's necessary for us to actually, this particular topic that we want, how do we manage stress in our lives? How do we avoid burnt out, because we are continually doing things? And I want us to pay adequate attention. If you are supposed to see a therapist, we're going to pay a lot of money, but here we are offering these services free of charge to as many that are on this platform. And I want us to thank you for coming, but please make good use of this time. And the person that will be taking this particular topic, she's a mother, she's a wife, she works also, she's a career woman, and she looks after the flock of God, the women ministry. She looks after the children ministry in Agape House of Worship. She's also an auditor with the state of New Jersey. And that tells you that how many accounts that she manages for this particular state. And so she is better qualified to tell us, how does she juggle everything together? How has she been able to plan and manage her time? We only have 24 hours in a day. And so she will be talking to us, and telling us tips, tools to make our life better, tools to use so that we can get to where we're supposed to be, living our full potential. So this is it. I want you to please welcome, we call her Lady B, Pastor Abimbola Lawore. And thank you for coming. Thank you for heeding to our invitations. We truly appreciate you. We know if you have to pay you per hour, I'm not sure if our checkbook will not complain, but thank you for giving us your time. And I pray, that as many that are here, whatever will be given today, will make use of it, not just hearing it, but making use, action of what we're going. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Dupe. Thank you for having me. And to our president, Deaconess Yewande, God bless you. Thank you for the great work you are doing. Thank you for the great work you are doing. We see lives transformed, hope restored, and we see not just lives, families and even generation being impacted by what TouchLink is doing. And I'm so excited to be a part of TouchLink family, and for this opportunity just to share a few nuggets about how we can, better live our lives. So I welcome everyone this evening. I know it's been a long week, it's been a long month, but thank God for His grace and thank God for this opportunity. So this evening, I'll just share a few pointers, and I love what our moderator said, that whatever we get here today is really, we need to put it to use. We need to put it to action. That is really the goal. It's not just for us to be, receive another information, but it's really to create an action plan. So that's my goal as you're listening today, that you will pick what applies to you and go with an action plan so that you can avoid burnout. All right. So I welcome everyone. I thank everyone, all those who have been supporting. I see some of our partners online this evening. Thank you so much. As a board member of TouchLink, we do not take you for granted. We thank you for all you're doing. I see some of our volunteers. Thank you for what you do. And we're really grateful. On behalf of of our president and the board, I want to say a big thank you. So how do we avoid burnout? This is a big question. And I want everyone to understand that burnout is real. It's real. Even studies have shown that people between the age of 30 and 40 is actually the time when, in the 30s and 40s, in that space of life, a lot of people experience burnout. And so that's what's based on statistics out there. But the fact is, based on the times we are living in, based on in this time we're living in, everybody experience burnout at some point or the other. It's not just those who are in their 30s or 40s. Everybody does experience burnout. Even young children do experience burnout because of the demands and expectation of life. So I just want to establish that fact to let us really see that this is not just something for somebody else. Scientists have seen that people experience burnout. The ages of 30, 40, and even extending to 50 is very common, is the highest range, because a lot of the burnout that people experience comes from work and business. But so a lot of that is really the source of majority of the burnout. When people go to see their doctors, their counselors, their psychiatrists, they see that it's in that season of life that people get to a breaking point. They cannot deal with it anymore. So just want to throw that out there, that burnout is real. Sometimes our burnout can be due to emotional exhaustion. Sometimes it could be physical exhaustion. At the end of the key thing is when it's prolonged. So in life, as we go through life, it's guaranteed that you will feel tired. You will feel you need to rest. Even our Lord Jesus Christ, he had his time that after doing work, after ministering to people, he took time to rest. Burnout is when it becomes prolonged and it's getting to a level of a breaking point that you are not able to function anymore. And that's what we are trying to avoid. We are trying to avoid getting to that level that there's a breaking point. So I'll share with us 7 points today. I'll share with us 7 points that I know that, I've applied to my life, and I'm still applying because we go through it. Let me tell you, I've gone through my season of exhaustion this year. I would say in the early summer, I was really busy, and I had to sit back and reflect. And I realized that, of course, during the pandemic, many things slowed down. Many things slowed down during pandemic. I started doing a few more things. I was mostly at home. I wasn't going to events, being active outside. So there was more things to do online. There was more things to do. There was a little more time available. So as we got into 2021, we got through spring and things opened up in the summer. I still maintained my schedule from the pandemic of doing extra things, that I've acquired during the pandemic. And now life has opened up. Things have opened up. I have to go to work now. I have to commute. I have to be, at events. So I realized I did not reassess the season and I was getting burnt out. And of course, my work in that season was also very demanding. July, August is a busy time in my for my job, because we ending the fiscal year. We're trying to reach goals. We're trying to plan, budget, all those things. So it was a busy time. Even at church too, it was a busy time. We go for our retreat. So there was a lot going on. So I experienced burnout, and I had to sit back and rebalance things in my life. There's some things I had to put away that I do not need to do this any longer. And these are some of the things that we need to do to avoid burnout. But quickly, I'll go through the 7 points I have. Then we'll open up room for questions, because questions will really help us to elaborate, to really gain the understanding. The first thing I want to say to us to avoid burnout is to live within our purpose. Live within your purpose. It is very important. See, I know we said purpose a lot, and some people are probably becoming numb to that word, but it's very key. God gives us a purpose to help to put boundaries into our lives. So when we know our purpose and we live within our purpose, it helps us to avoid doing more that is necessary. So it's important that you know your purpose. It's important that you let your purpose be your guardrail. So for example, many of us on this platform are women. Some are in the season of raising children. God, that's part of your purpose, to nurture a family. It goes beyond that. I mean, of course, as believers, our purpose is to serve God, is to love God. And that is very crucial, beyond anything else, beyond your career, beyond your marriage, your family, your purpose in God, knowing that you are a creation of God. It's so key. So to avoid burnout, you have to live within your purpose. Your relationship with God, you cannot compromise it, because that's your number one purpose. You were created to be, as a creation of God, to worship God. God has a plan for our life, and that's linked to our purpose. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future. Another version says, plan for good and not for disaster, the NLT. So that tells me that when we know God's plan and purpose for our life, it's not supposed to bring us disaster. It's to take us to an open future. So many times we experience burnout because we don't understand what our purpose is. We are doing too many things. We are spread out all over the place. So I'll stop there and I'll go to the next point. Again, just to reemphasize, live within your purpose. And that also speaks to your purpose, also determines, what you do in every season of your life. The second thing I also want to say is not to be a people pleaser. And this is very linked to the first point, stop people pleasing. I know the last time we had a conversation, we actually dwelt on this a lot. See, when you know your purpose, it helps you from not being a people pleaser. If someone asks you to do something, for example, if your purpose, your purpose, your passion is linked to serving women, serving, children who are disadvantaged. If your purpose is to use your creativity, you're a person of craft to teach children or to serve God, and somebody calls you and say, oh, I need you to come over. So if you're a person of craft, that's your gift, and that's something you enjoy doing. It's your passion, and you're using it to, just to, to bring glory to God or to help people. And someone asks you, oh, can you come over? I'm having a cookout. Can you come and help me cook? If that's not your area of strength, but because you don't want to say no, you go ahead and do, and go and, okay, I will help you. See, those are the things that can lead to burnout, because maybe cooking setting up for events is not your natural, your natural bent. It will take you extra time. You do it out of trying to please that person. But when you do something that is already God has wired you into, it's how your makeup, it comes easy. You're able to do it faster. So just to give an example of, how our purpose is linked to not pleasing people. There's a saying by a motivational speaker called Lutz. He said, care about other people. When you care too much about how other people think about you, you make yourself a prisoner to them. When you're so concerned about how other people care about you, you make yourself a prisoner to them. So a lot of our burnout comes from worrying about what people will say. And this is very crucial for us as women to really, really reflect on this. Our nature is one of the nature we have. What makes us unique is our love for people, our nurturing, which is great. And I love the t-shirt. We'll talk about that later. I love the t-shirt. I love the acronym for this event. But I want us to know that as women, we fall into this trap of burnout a lot because we are so wired to please people. And I want to encourage us as parents that as we are raising our children, and when I started thinking about it, some of it comes to how we were raised. We were raised to support, to help in the house. We were raised to really make if you grow up with your grandparents, help grandma, help grandpa. We were raised to help people, to make people happy. So that transfers to us as we get older. So which is a good thing that, your parents raised you to serve. But then as you grow older, you need to balance it out. And as we are raising our children, our young girls in particular, a lot of our children in today's generation, they are nurturing, but at the same time, they're very, they know how to, they're not afraid to say no. And I try to catch myself, even as a parent. Sometimes I feel my girls, I feel they're too, like, they just say no. I can't just do it. Mommy, I can't do it. And I'm like, you're supposed to do it. So I try to catch myself because I know they do help me. But then if they can't help me and they give me a reason, I shouldn't make them feel guilty that it's you just have to do this at the expense of your time, of your own leisure. So I'm bringing this to us because I know that a lot of us were raised this way, and this people pleasing has transferred to many things, even in relationship. Talking about domestic violence, a lot of women, you feel you have to please the person, so the perpetrator of the abuser, they even use this as a bait. They demand things from you, and they're like, oh, I'm sad because you're not coming. I'm sad because you're not cooking this food for me. I'm sad because you're not picking my phone call. So this is something that is it leads to burnout. Mentally, it leads to burnout. So we have to be very, very mindful. People pleasing. Yes, it's good to serve. Yes, it's good to care. Yes, it's good to nurture. But are you doing it at the detriment of your well-being? Is this something outside of your comfort zone, of your purpose? That's important. And don't forget, if you care too much about how people think, you become a prisoner to them. The only person that you should care about, a lot of us here are believers, is God's thought towards you. God's thoughts towards you is what matters most. I'll move to the next point. And the next point is to avoid burnout. It's important that you are involved in a community. Be involved in a community and have an accountability partner. So don't be isolated. Don't be isolated. Because when you're in a community, you get support. You get guidance. And that's where an accountability partner comes in. But you can't have an accountability partner if you're not part of a community. Going back to family, as we grew up, our parents are people who guide us, who we are accountable to. And as we become adults, we're working. In our workplace, we have people, some of us are even managers or leaders. We keep people accountable. When they procrastinate, when they're not doing what they need to do, we bring them to call them back to action. So it's important that you have people in your life who you're accountable to. They know you, they know your goals, they know what your purpose. So when you're going out, when you're becoming, when you're all over the place, they are able to call you to alignment, call you back to where you should be. So it's important that you are involved in a community. It's that you have an accountability partner. And talking about community, it could be, your church. It goes a long way. God did not create us to be isolated. And he has put people in your life to support you, to help you. Number 4, ask for help. This is big. Ask for help. Ask for help. And that comes easy when you are part of a community. See, the beauty of being in a community is, of course, community does require a little bit of demand from you when you're in a community. Going back to the family, part of the family, as a child, your parents nurture you, they take care of you, they serve you. But when you start growing, you also need to serve them, right? But it's a mutual relationship. It's a mutual benefit. When you when you are part of a larger community, yes, you give, you serve, but there's always someone too who is available to help you, to support you. And then you are able to ask for help. You are able to ask for help. And this is where TouchLink comes. To avoid burnout, you must be ready to ask for help. A lot of us, again, speaking to women, I can see that a lot of people on this platform are women. We experience this the most. Men also experience burnout, don't get me wrong, because we don't ask for help. And you have to be honest with yourself. We live in the Western world. The reality is, a lot of us, the lifestyle here is do it yourself, DIY, do it yourself. You don't have the luxury of having a butler. You don't have the luxury of having a maid. You work, you're raising a family, you're part of a community, like I've said, and community demands time. So you need to ask for help, all right? It's important, let's ask for help. This is where TouchLink comes in. TouchLink is a resource. If you're here and you're going through, some kind of anxiety, you're overwhelmed, there are counselors in TouchLink that you can reach out to and ask for help to guide you. When you ask for help, a problem shared is half solved. That's a common saying. You realize that some things that are overwhelming you mentally, which is making you exhausted, you cannot think through. Sometimes it happens to me. Sometimes I just think about an issue and I blank out and I feel like I don't even know where to start. And these are things that leads to burnout when we have an assignment to do, a task before us, or just a life situation. And you're like, I don't even know what to do. Many times one of the things I do, I love to write. I journal, I write it down. And journaling is also a way to release pressure, pressure on your mind. I write things down. And then as I'm writing, I pray. And the Holy Spirit starts bringing to mind people that I can talk to, that can help me. So it's important that you ask for help. Even Jesus told us in Matthew 7:7, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened unto you. So it's scriptural to ask for help. This is God talking to us, and God has put people in our lives. That's why you need to be in a community. When you're not isolated, you will see the people in your life, the human resources, and you ask for help in those areas where you think, like I said, what's demanding, what's draining you. If you're working, for example, just to make it practical, and sometimes we there's some things we say, oh, I cannot allow someone to do this for me. We glory in some things. We I'm just trying to find the word to say. But some of these are just things to trap us and drain us. I mean, one of the things I do, I get help. I get people to help me clean my house. Because I do love a clean environment. It's part of what gives me serenity, what gives me, and especially when my kids were younger. Now I don't do as much of it because they're older and they pick up, it's part of, they clean up. But when they were younger, I work, we have the ministry. It was impossible. The time wasn't there. So part of getting help, asking for help, is sometimes you have to pay for the help, and sometimes you have to, if it's an advice, you get people to speak to your life about it. So just to give you an example, that there's nothing to be ashamed of. And don't get me wrong, some people can say, I don't want a stranger in my space. We all have, that's fine. But I'm just using that as an example that, we have to be realistic, that we are working, there's only 24 hours in a day. And this part of how I'm able to juggle my life. And part of asking for help is I see the different people God has put in my life. This is an area of this was an area of challenge for me, trust me, asking for help. But as I grew, even maturing spiritually, I realized this is God's wisdom. Jesus was living, he said, I will give you the Holy Spirit to be your helper. And the more I write, as I write things down, as I'm praying, is highlighting to me who can do it. Sometimes even talk to your husband. You have your husband right there. Talk to people. All right. So asking for help is huge. Asking for help is huge. Let's ask our children for help. Many women, because of the love and the nurturing nature, we don't want to burden our children. It's part of helping them to be healthy adults. They can do things, they can help you out. And with that, you are not burnt out. All right. And the number 5 thing, so I said live within your purpose, which is really the umbrella. Live within your purpose. Stop people pleasing, be involved in a community. Don't just be your island and expect people will come to your rescue. You have to be part. You have to also be giving and ask for help. TouchLink is here for you. And the number 5 thing I have here is change how you think. It's important how you change how you think. You need to start seeing yourself the way God sees you. Don't think you have to be, our thinking, to be able to avoid, being overwhelmed, burnout, is you have to sit down and think, what are the things causing this burnout? I didn't dwell on that because of time, and we all know, work. Is it relationship? Is it a relationship that's taking your time? You talk to someone, they make you feel, after you're done talking, it's taking so much time, they make you feel bad. It takes away from the time you're supposed to study for school. So when you change how you think, but some of the thinking is that, I can't say no to them. They won't invite me. They won't be my friend anymore. So you have to think critically about your life. What is causing burnout? What can I eliminate? Who can I talk to? Who can help me? What can I delegate to people? So we need to take time to think. Don't just go through life. Don't just keep, I plan my month out. I print an Outlook calendar. I pray every month. I spend time to pray and also just plan my month out and see, put work schedule, family schedule, and ministry schedule. And as I do that, and that's purpose right there, because those are, for me, my family is key. My relationship with God is key. My work is important because I have to be responsible. It's part of our responsibility. We are being paid by our employers. We have to be responsible. So you think, don't just get up and let anything come into your day. These are things that lead to burnout. Don't let anyone take your time. If someone calls you and you ask and you're studying and they want to talk to you, and it's going to be a long conversation, you say, can I get back to you? These are things, but you have to think about your day so that you are able to manage the time that you have. So your thinking is very important, and your thinking will influence your behavior. So number 6 is to change how you behave. What is it out of the things we've listed today, in your lifestyle, in your choices, that is draining you? Change your behavior. And in terms of changing our behavior, I'll go to the last point. Find time for self-care. Find time for self-care. Part of our behavior change is we need to exercise. And I'm guilty of that. I don't have time to go out and work out. But exercise is very key. Exercise releases good hormones. Part of what makes us feel burnout is, of course, we are worried, we're anxious, and some hormones are created when our mind is in that state of being overwhelmed, being exhausted, unhappiness. But when we do things like exercising, it releases the good hormones. I think for the nurses out there, I think it's the C one, I can't remember now, that just puts you in a good mood. Exercise is really helpful to our mental state. Our diet is important. Again, as you're getting 30s, 40s, 50s and above, good diet will help the state of your mind. It's important. So this is part of what I see as self-care. And this is linked to behavior. Don't just say, I don't have time. One of the things I started doing now is to take 10 minutes, go downstairs. I have a playlist of worship songs that are very upbeat, and just move for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I can't really do the 30 minutes workout. It's getting cold. I can't really do but 10 minutes, there are good playlists of songs that you at least you just keep your body part moving. It's important. It clears your mind. Prayer and meditation is important, and you can do that anytime. That also clears your mind. That also is part of self-care. Trust me, it is part of self-care. I mean, just spending a time alone with God, it really brings refreshing. And of course, there are other practical ways of self-care, taking time to rest. You have vacation time, even, take time to just take a day off, rest, have a massage, hang out with a friend, watch comedy, things that will just, relieve your mind. So these are the things I have to help us avoid burnout. And like I said, it's important that you look at what applies to you and take action. Take action, and don't just let this information, fly over your head. And take one at least, take one or two. Okay, so it's time for questions. I'll stop right here. It's time for questions.
I'm not sure. I have a question. This is me, Dupe. I have a question.
Yes.
You talked about living. I'm just recapping what you said. Living within your purpose. Don't be people pleaser. But for some of our clients, I call them, they are the thriving ones, because for them to get to that level whereby, it's time for us to change my life. This is not okay for me. And we're talking about living within purpose and coming from a situation whereby my self-worth, my identity is more or less crushed to a level that I'm just trying to build it. Now, talking about purpose, not being people pleaser, but this is a life that someone has lived, to stay alive. So how can I, be able to say, okay, I've lived this life for so long. It's not just a year, it's not 2 years. It has become a defense mechanism. It's been what has kept me alive, So how do I move from such life that I kind of used to is a new life for me, but then I more or less still visit that particular aspect of me?
Yeah, what I'll say to that is, and this is part of by our primary purpose is that we are God's creation, we are God's children, and God has created us, to worship Him. So what I would say to to that is, let who you are in Christ be what defines you primarily. So yes, you have a family, and that has really defined, that's another part of who you are, what you live for, what you cherish, which is true. But because life situations, unfortunately, because those things do happen, and now it's redefining who you are, you need to go. That's why you now go back to the primary purpose. Everything else is secondary. Our marriage, job, those are secondary. So you go back to the master planner who made you his masterpiece, and you ask him to, in this time of my pain, in this time of confusion, what do I do? So that's the root, and that helps. When you go back to that, to go back to him, he helps you to see, you no longer define yourself based on the pain that you're going through, based on the disappointment. You now see yourself that even though something is missing, God can still use that broken situation. God can still use that to redesign or remake something meaningful, purposeful. So that's what I would say. You should not let the situation define you.
Okay. I have another question. Says, what advice do you have for single moms? With a lot of people that are singles in this organization, what advice do you have for single moms with little children that have to work 2 to 3 jobs to keep the family going? To have a financial stability? What will you say to that?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and that's some people's reality. The job of 2 people is now 1 person's job, and that's why part of being in a community is very key. Don't let, and I know even when you're in a community, people cannot do everything. That time is, you still have a lot, you'll be stretched. Even those who are married, they have a partner, they have a husband, wife, they are stretched. I know there was in my 30s, I was stretched. My 30s, my life, I was really stretched. I had young children. I was working. I thank God for His grace. God, I do constantly speaking to God. You are my help. Scriptures, I had to have scriptures. I take, scriptures like pills. Philippians 4:6. Somebody just posted that. So I was stretched in that season, but know that it's just a phase of your life. I look back now, my children are still teenagers, and I'm amazed. I'm like, where did the time go? I don't have to pack diaper, worry about, I don't have to do all these things, run around, I'm able to, life is still demanding, but it's not as exhaustive as it was at that time. So for single parents, I want you to know, single moms, know that one, it's a phase, it will not be forever. And harness God's grace for this season. Eliminate, and this is when you let that season and your purpose guide you. When my children were young, I wasn't going to as many events as I go to now. Even as a minister, as a pastor, I wouldn't go to as many events that I will go to now, because I need to, the little time I have, I need to be there for them. And but I really believe belonging to a community goes a long way for people in that situation. Belonging to a healthy community that is supportive, and don't think you don't have anything to give. Yes, you you need the support, but there's just a wisdom, and it's a godly principle. It says that we should, when we sow, we will reap a great harvest. And it's not just about when we give money that we get some money back, but even in the midst of your challenging situation, always see that there's something you can give, even if it's just a word of appreciation to those who are supporting you. Because the natural default, and I'm being real, when people are going through such a time, you're alone, you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're raising children, you feel resentful. You feel life is not fair to you, God is not fair. But maintain an attitude of gratitude. It sounds like a cliche word, but it's wisdom, is the wisdom of God. When you are appreciative, it attracts people into your life to support you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't feel you have to do everything. Sometimes your house will not be in the best position. You can have a house sparkling clean when you have to take care of the children alone, cook for them, do their own work. But in a nutshell, belong to a community and ask for help. And I just want to add one more thing also. One more thing, because you mentioned, you have to work 2-3 jobs. Also sit down, sit down with someone, sit down with, people that can give counsel, social worker, Dr. Yewande, as somebody mentioned earlier today, because she has, the amount of wisdom God has given Deaconess Yewande in this area of field. She is a doctor in it because she has so much wisdom in this. She's gone through this journey and she's constantly studying about it. So sit down and have a talk. There's some, you don't have to stay in working 2-3 jobs forever. There are some skills you can acquire. There's some education you can get that can limit, take you from working 2 jobs to working 1 job. That's just what I wanted to also share.
Oh, okay. Quickly, somebody wrote, how do you know the right community to join?
How do you know the right community to join? Definitely a church community is a religious community is one I would recommend. But you don't have to keep it to that. If your situation is that you've gone through some abuse, you're recovering from domestic violence, definitely join a community like TouchLink. If you have a child, with special needs, you have a child, going through, join a community that provides knowledge, information, resources in that area. So, but a community of faith is so important because when we connect to our belief, our faith, it goes a long way. It helps us to manage our mental well-being a lot, because in the community of faith, you pray. Prayer is when you go to psychologists, when you go to people who speak to these mental well-being, burnout, they will talk a lot about meditation, mindfulness, all these things. It's taken from faith, from Christianity. They just repackage it in their own words. So prayerfully look for a community of faith, because community of faith for the most time will give you other resources. A healthy and strong community of faith will provide spiritual support, emotional support, friendship, and all that.
Okay, thank you very much. And I want to thank as many that are online for your patience. And we have a wonderful testimony right now. So we just want you to listen. And this is to encourage each and every one of us. So I'll be calling our sister Juliet Uwa to just give us our own testimony, our journey, and how, what we have discussed today, people have come in to help, guide along the way. So we need each other. So I'll call on Sister Juliet Uwa.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you, Pastor B. That was so wonderful. So my testimony this evening is of Thanksgiving. So I'm a victim of domestic violence, and I finally became a single mom of 4 kids at my young age. I didn't plan for it. I didn't ask for it, but I found myself there. But I know with God, all things are possible. So what did I do? I just, rearranged my life, went back to God and said, God, I didn't ask for this. If I knew I was going to raise 4 kids by myself, I wouldn't have tried it. Try to, so I just went back to God and I started rearranging my life myself. I put all my trust in God. I stayed focused on all things that matters to me. Everything that matters so much to me and my children, I try to focus on those things. There was a time all my 4 kids were playing, they were all in school. I was in school myself. They were playing soccer, basketball, track, cheerleading, ROTC, just name them, because I try to get them engaged, so they don't, feel wasted and all that. So I have to drop here and there. In fact, anybody who is around me at that time, they were always telling me, be careful so you don't die, be careful. I told them nothing will happen to me. I have God, because I have to stand for my children. They are everything that I have in this world. So I put my feet down and I was always praying. I remember every day they do these things, how I, put quotations, Bible quotations from Joel Osteen, from, Bible, and I paste them in our room, in our bedrooms. And the kids, whenever we come back after praying at night, we recite each and every one of those things. And, it really, really helped us. So I was in school. Since from when they were young, I started from my associate degree. I did education prior to coming here. And when I got here, I changed to nursing. So I started afresh. I have to start afresh. I started with associate degree, finished that, went to my bachelor's. From there, I went to my master's. But every voice when I started was like, there is no way you can do this. With 4 children, it's impossible. And I told every voice that with God, all things are possible. So my kids, my some of the things that I do that time was like, when I bring our dining table, I arranged everyone's homework. I tell them we have to study together, we have to do our homework together. So they see how mommy is working hard. Everybody, all of them were working hard with me. And I told them you have to be in honor roll. If mommy can make A in my own classes, why working 2 jobs, doing this and that. So my kids really worked with me with, I really thank God. They're all honor roll students and everything. They were doing good. And finally, I finished my school. We were able to, make it. And I tried my best to serve in the church as much as I could. I serve in Levites, cleaning ministry as much as I can. When I cannot make it, I send my kids to go and work, And during the time of my exhaustion and tribulations, I wish I have found an organization like TouchLink. There was no help. There was not even anybody to talk to. Even the church I was going then was so discouraging. Like, if you're a woman and you're not with your husband, like, it's a different thing altogether. So what I did was just try to back off and rearrange myself and said, I will attend things that matters in my life. I just, took it that way. And with all those things, I gather my kids together. We pray every night. We exercise together. I take them to the field. We do everything together. And before school starts, I attend to their back to school night. I know all the teachers. I email every night. Like, I do everything I have to do. It was very hard, but I told myself that I can do it. And I did it. So today I graduated from my bachelor's as a nurse, and I finished my MSN. I became a nurse practitioner, and I got my dream job. So I just want to encourage someone out there that, it's hard, but if you trust in the Lord, you will make it. And I also attend all my key stuff in the school. I pay attention to all the teachers. I email them, I call them. If any of my kids is missing this, make sure you let me know. There was a time they were even playing track in New York. I have to drive to New York, Toms River, all these places. And everybody was like, whoa, women don't even drive to those places. It was all men. And they're like, they call my kids, who brought you here? There's like, my mom. And they're looking at me, all the men were like, how are you doing this? I'm like, with God, all things are possible. So today, what I did is like a boost to my kids. When they look at what I've been doing, they started working hard on their own, both in the academic works and domestic and everything. So this is the little thing I have to add to what Pastor B said. And Pastor was trying to teach us the importance of exercise. So I kind of have an exercise group that I created. So there is a benefit to what Pastor was trying to say earlier, benefit of regular physical activities. As a nurse practitioner, I have to say this, right? So some of them are daily activities reduces the risk of dying prematurely. It reduces the risk of dying from heart diseases. It reduces the risk of stroke. It reduces the risk of developing diabetes, the risk of developing high blood pressure. It reduces the risk of people who already have high blood pressure and diabetes, to lower those diseases. And it also helps to reduce depression and anxiety. It helps to control weight. It helps to maintain healthy bones, muscles, and joints. It helps older adults to become stronger and better and able to move around without falling. It promotes psychological well-being. So physical activity is very important in our lives. Thank you. This is my little testimony tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Pastor B, Sister Juliet. Wow, awesome. Thank God for your life. Everybody, it's been awesome. Thank you so much. This is our last session, and on Saturday, it's going to be our grand finale. We are doing the physical work, but I want to do a shout out to all the companies that has been supporting us, Ascend. We have our church. We have other organization like My Goal, and that has really been helping us to survive. Investors Bank has been our supporters. Also, our monthly supporters, monthly helper, financier. I really want to say a big thank you and shout out to our volunteers. Thank you so, so much. We have a lot of volunteers also online. Thank you for joining. Your perseverance right from the beginning is commendable. Thank you. I really love and appreciate you. I can't appreciate you enough. But you know what you do for others, God will multiply it and do for you. When you sow your seed, it doesn't come the same way you sow it. It multiplies and comes in a big way. So thank you. Everybody that has, spoken, that has given us one educational topic, thank you so much. Pastor B, my notes is already full, and there's a lot to take in from here. So thank you for always supporting everything that we do. Pastor B is also our board member. She's a treasurer. She's in charge of our money. And I'm sure she has a lot to say about money. Pastor B, I'm going to throw you out there. We need money. We are raising. Well, what are we doing with $40,000? I said to people the last time, even though we have survivor kits, that cost us $100 per bag. $100 per survivor kit per box is what we spend on survivor kits. 40,000 that's about 400 bags, right, of survivor kits. But that's not enough. That's not the only thing that we do. We put people in the hotel expense alone, it's high. And also we help people that just get out of, emergency, get out of their perpetrator's house. We help, and they are trying to establish on their own. It's not that easy. They get easily burnt out. In fact, they can't even reason or think. So we help them with support, financial support, especially with transitional housing, rental assistance for 3 months. So it's a lot. So 40,000 is actually nothing compared to what we do every year. Like I was saying, we've spent since we started, we spent over $60,000 on domestic support alone, just supporting victims and survivors, not to talk of administrative expense. So Every penny is accounted for. We have Pastor B in charge. So Pastor B, you want to say something about people supporting us? Right now, I believe we are trending 8,000. We are far behind, but I know we can do it. I know some of you have promised. And please also help spread the word. You don't even have to do it yourself. You can, raise funds with your work. You want to say something, Pastor B?
Yeah, I was just thinking of, what you just said, that for everyone here, this is beautiful. I see over 30 people here. Let's spread the word. Let's share the link. You've seen the link. You've gotten our emails. Let's share the word. You never know who will be touched and moved. And for those of us who we've seen someone come out of this, we see the power of the deliverance. When we give to TouchLink, we are helping to bring more people out of bondage, to bring them to a life of thriving. And this is part of how we give back. We are telling people to ask for help, but there has to be the resource. So let's share. Please, let's share the link. You never know, on our WhatsApp status, on our Facebook page, just to a co-worker. Please get this t-shirt. This is a way of promoting. Wear it to work. On Friday, go on our website. You can order it on the website, or you can on Saturday. Please, let's come out on Saturday. God is good. I know there's gonna be rain, but we've been praying. We're already praying. The nor'easter is already subdued. Saturday morning is fine. There is no rain Saturday morning. Come out. Let's walk. Let's burn out.
Work is only for 1 hour. For 1 hour.
Let's burn out and get some endorphins into our body. So please share and give. Nothing is too small to give. There's so many people that we've helped this year. 2020 was huge. We actually had so many people because of the pandemic. So many domestic violence occurred. Some of them, we can bring them to the platform because they're still going through situation. There was a woman that, I don't know how many hours Dickness and this spent on her case. Our 2 kids were about to be taken away from her. She was going through mental, it was such a major situation that we had to help. And today she has custody of her children. She's able to live life. She's working, but for months, we had to help her.
She graduated well and she secured a job too.
So many like that we have, and it's not only within, it's not just within New Jersey, outside of New Jersey. In the nutshell, support this organization and
spread the word.
And spread the word.
And come on Saturday, 10 o'clock. It's going to be very prompt. 10 a.m. we're going to start the work. We are not sitting around. Once we are done with the work, we'll just gather to finish. It's going to be an hour.
Location.
It's one main street in Woodbridge. One is the municipal building, one main street. I'll type it out. Yeah. So any other question? Anybody have any question for us?
Yeah, I just want to say, beautiful testimony, Sister Juliet. I just want to say that, there's a saying that success is the best revenge. When you've gone through domestic violence, abuse, rejection, neglect, it's really painful. And many times you're just thinking about what this person has done to you. But if you try and, I want to encourage everyone here to flip. That thinking alone leads to exhaustion, burnout, mentally, you're not able to function, but flip it and say, because, I will be a success. This person has tried to, stop me, hinder me from living my purpose, but I will be a success. As I was listening to Sister Juliet's testimony, I believe that's what God gave her the grace to have a different perspective, that she will be successful, she will live a good life. She stayed with God, she continued to pray. So regardless of what the source of the pain in your life is, flip it and choose to be a success story. Don't dwell on getting even. Don't get on winning at what this person, just make it, I will be a success story because I'm a child of God. So when you choose to be a success, it's the best revenge. And your mind will be in the right place. You'll be able to do what you need to do, and will be, you'll be a testimony to God's glory.
Awesome. Let's round up. Thank you so much, Pastor B. We are done, everybody.